Okay, what you're looking at here is the new setup that the old man and I came up with to tram in the milling machine head perfectly with the crank journals. What you'll see here is a shaft that goes basically in the bearings of the cases. We've got a precision machined 1, 2, 3 block, they call it, that then bolts onto this parallel piece at the top. And this is a Edge Technology mill head tramming tool, which normally you would use for like tramming in on the bed or your vise to make sure that the mill head is basically straight up and down and not cocked this direction or that direction. For the purposes of what we're doing, it's most important that it is level across this direction and not cattywampus like that, because then you'll get irregular ring wear on either side of the piston depending on which way that it's leaning. If it's cocked a little bit forwards and backwards, doesn't really matter a whole lot because that's the rotation of the crankshaft, the piston, and the bore. Not really relevant. In fact, most cylinders actually have a little 3 or 4 degree angle to them anyways. So what we actually just finished doing was setting this up and indicating it in. And with everything bolted down here, this is our little case fixture and stuff that we made out of 3/4 inch heavy plate. These are, just the regular lockdown tools. What I found when I went up here and basically brought this down to start with, see right now get in here close enough you can see it. It's just about dead nuts on, but when I first did this, this side over here was about 20 thousandths higher than over here. And that's basically, I think, the way that I machined it to start with, because I didn't have this then and I wasn't smart enough to really know what I was doing at the time. So, long story short, after I found that out, I have some little brass stencil numbers here, basically shimmed under the sides of the jig here that holds and bolts to the cases, and locked everything back down, all the bolts here real good. And I can set it up here and try it again now. We look to be like we're within about a 1/2 thousandths in our accuracy here, if I can get it to hold. See, you're right on the one there, and you're just a teeny bit under it there. And for the purposes of what we're doing, that is, I think, plenty accurate. What I had done in the shop earlier was basically take a pair of calipers and measure between here and over here, and found that there was a low and a high side. And what basically brought this on is, as I was leak down testing it, we got everything else to hold good. The center cases, where I had to go in and re-weld and fix some breakage and stuff in there, was fine, but we were getting some consistent leaking under the center case base gasket area here. And keep in mind, I did assemble it dry. I didn't put any high tack on the gaskets or anything, and I was using very thin OEM gaskets. They're like 8,000ths thick, or just something really, really thin. But it was leaking, so I knew I had an issue here, and I knew that was the purpose of the leak down test, to figure out what was up. So I discovered I was not straight with the crank journal, so we're getting ready to basically fix that now. And what's also going to happen, of course, of this is, because we're changing the surface here, the pins that go in here for the cylinder bolts, I'm going to also probably have to end up redoing those. There's a neat little device I've been looking at called a time cert, that's basically a sleeve that's threaded on the exterior and the interior. You'll drill this out, thread it with a tap, thread in that bushing, and it has a little lock at the bottom. It's real similar to a helicoil, except for it's solid all the way up, and not just it's just not just a piece of a thread. So I think what we're going to do next is actually unbolt our part of our fixture here. That's the whole purpose of this, is this can be unbolted from the main piece here in the crank journal, so that you can actually run a machining operation without having to change your setup any. So that's going to be our next step. switch was off a lot.